What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Lewis side here, bringing you back with another video today. Now today we are hopping into a new type of team builder, and this one I want to cater to something that I see thrown around a lot as the most feared thing for Dokkan Battle, and that's Super Battle Road. And so I'm going to go through this entire series, break down each team, their chances with Super Battle Road, and what you're going to need to be able to beat this. Now, the first thing I want to go ahead and clear up is that you're going to need a really good team, and I know that's hard to say because a lot of us are free to play. I'm mostly free to play. I've spent money on this game, but I spend it in very specific times, like when there's really good Dokkan Fests, something like, you know, the last one we had with Ultra Instinct Goku, or like a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Omega Shenron, that kind of thing. I don't blow it for every single unit, and I don't have a lot of the units I think you're going to need to beat this. So me trying to beat this is going to be interesting, and I'm going to do it on the channel when it comes to global. Japan, I just don't have anything great, but I want to go ahead and hop in and do kind of the somewhat poor man's guide to Super Battle Road. And so let's go ahead and hop in. So as you see, I've pulled up my usual miasma of units for the Super Strength, which is what we're going to start with. And you'll notice that everything is here, and it looks crazy, but there's a few things you're going to need. So the first thing is you're going to need about 2 to 3 hard hitters, 2 dedicated tanks, and 1 support or debuffer. That is going to be your absolute best way of clearing it. You're going to need to keep those tanks on rotation for the first slot. They're just going to be getting hit hard, they're going to be hitting it often, and if you have something that can mitigate a lot of damage, that's really going to help. You're going to need hard hitters because everything has millions of HP, and while it sounds good, you know, if you've got these tanking units, you build a real tanky team, as we've seen with Extreme Strength, having a really good tanky team doesn't equal success. In fact, a lot of times it equals failure because you're not able to withstand enough. I mean, you know, you can take a lot of damage, but there comes a point in time where you're running out of items to heal, and you can only take so much. You're going to have to do damage. Versus Extreme Tech, or Super Tech, sorry, or Extreme Tech for that matter, which mostly centers around just doing colossal amounts of damage, but they don't have a lot of tanks. And luckily with Super Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, they've Super Tech gained some of their tankiness back, but in general, it's just not perfect for this. It's just a beat stick, and I feel like, you know, the beat stick approach isn't going to work, which is what usually works for Dokkan events, because you have that massive HP, but Super Battle Road is kind of future-proofed in that regard. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the first thing you're going to want to bring, obviously, is your Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who does a couple things really well. One, he is an amazing hard hitter with that 150% up on his passive, but 2, he also does really, really good at being a functional tank. Not a wall like we're going to need, and we're going to get to in a sec, because tanks and walls are very important, but he does, after a while when he gets going, get a few supers off, his defense does increase, and it's not a bad increase at all. So you're going to want him. Another one you're going to need, and it kind of goes without saying, is this Ultimate Gohan. And Ultimate Gohan is interesting because he's an okay tank. He really is kind of a buff for your allies, almost like a support unit, but his attack stat, the way it stacks every time he supers, is actually really helpful. He doesn't link the best on this team, but if you can get his super off, he's really good, and he does provide a 50% buff to all allies that are going to be on this team. There's a few I do want to get rid of that you're going to see. I do want to get rid of most support units. Most of them are just not going to be helpful. So as much as I hate to do it, I think I'm going to leave Kaba for now. I'm going to get rid of the World Tournament Gohan. He's just not great. I'm going to get rid of this Goku as well, who's not really support, but he's not great. I'm going to get rid of Majub. I know a lot of people are going to be kind of torn on that one because he is very, well, tanky in a traditional team, but for Super Battle Road, he's just not going to have enough. That flat boost is not good enough for how hard these guys hit. Now we're going to look at this guy. I'm going to get rid of him because he just doesn't hit hard enough. A 70% up on his passive, even with immense damage, is just not enough. So now we've got 2 units, and I'm going to bring down and kind of categorize our units left. So we've got some support units down here. We've got our Master Roshi, we've got our Kaba, we've got our Super Saiyan 3 Goku from GT. Let's go ahead and separate our tanks. So one of the best tanks for this team, arguably the best tank, I'm going to go ahead, it's the best tank for this team, is this Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. His mitigation of 80% for 7 turns is really good. When he's on rotation, you're going to get 3 turns of that 80% mitigation. That's phenomenal. That is just fantastic. He's going to last almost the entirety of 1 round of Super Battle Road, and remember, his passive resets every single phase. That's really important. Another tank that has gotten the shout out in a video I'm going to link down below, the Gaming Claw did, is this new Trunks, because he mitigates damage by 40% when his guard's activated or something like that. Meaning, if you put some orbs into him, really level him up, all that kind of stuff, he's going to be taking a lot less damage. It's kind of the way Super Saiyan Blue Vegito does, the old one, the physical one. When his 40% mitigator, when you put some orbs into him and he's in that 120% team, it matters. And same thing with Super 17. His 40% mitigation is really important. So he's going to be taking a lot less damage than usual, and the more orbs you put into him, the better he gets, and that's really important. So I'm going to go ahead and move this Bardock down, and I want to go ahead and put the hard hitters aside. So Super Gogeta is there, this Gotenks is there, Boruto is kind of there. We're going to probably, I'm going to spoil it, we're going to go ahead and take him off. This Trunks is there. That Trunks can be really good if you've got some orbs in him. That's important because he does get that 100% up modifier. And then we've got things like LR Vegito Blue, who we don't have yet, but I'm assuming, and this Krillin. Now this Krillin, a lot of people are going to give me funny looks for because he doesn't link well, he's very forgotten about, he's from the Bio Shop, so most people would think he's not great, but actually he mitigates 55% of his damage on Super Battle Road, and that is incredible. So if you only have 5 of the best units, use that Krillin in the last slot. He's not going to take much damage. And you can really, because he's free to play, you can rainbow him if you want, and if you are on Global, you've got tons of orbs coming at you right now. If you don't have dupes of other units, pour those orbs into this Krillin. He's going to do great. You boost his defense. He's not going to be taking much damage at all. And that defense is permanent on Super Battle Road because you're only facing physical type enemies, meaning his guard is always going to be activated. Now we've got these 3, and these 3 can all be good depending on how many orbs you have, or how many copies. They're all pretty much the same thing. This Gotenks is a stunner, so he's okay if you've really not got much, but I would not recommend bringing him. I'm going to go ahead and take him off. Now this Vegeta kind of falls into the same boat. I think he gets like a 90 or 100% up on his passive. He links pretty well. He's got prepared for battle. The main problem is he's outdated and his key modifier is lower than that Trunks. And that Trunks plays a more pivotal role in this team than that Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta does. So I would not bring him. Same thing with this Gotenks. I don't think he's one of the best units you can bring. Now, you might be wondering why I've kept Strength Godku on here, because he is an Undokon unit. He does only get, I think, 75% up on his passive, and he doesn't seem to be great. And the only reason I'm mentioning him is because he links well enough to get off supers from everyone. If he is in rotation or off rotation, typically whoever he's linked with is going to get a super attack off. And if you've got copies of him, because he's not an exclusive unit, he's in every single summoning pool, he's a good unit to run. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, who is your best wall by far, and somewhat of a tank, he does give a little bit of damage, he needs to get a super off because he can stun, and he's got a pretty good chance of stunning. And that's pivotal in Super Battle Road. You're going to have to get lucky. A lot of this is going to be RNG based. It's not all strategy. It's mostly strategy, but it's also a lot RNG, and that's going to be important to remember going forward. So here's what I would recommend bringing, and you're going to have heavily duped units. The Bardock is just not good enough. He doesn't give enough of a support, and I wouldn't recommend him. Same thing with this Master Roshi. While Master Roshi does give a good bit, it's so RNG based, you want to take as much RNG out as possible. And having a unit that only has a high chance of giving a lot of support is just not worth running in my opinion. I would not recommend it. LR Vegito Blue, I think, will be a staple. Because one, we know you can get 2 copies of him. You can open that bottom right path. And he's got a vulnerable super attack, so you can get him to SA10 when the new Super Vegito comes out. I think he's invaluable, and even if he only gets up to 80% to attack and defense, if you put an orbs into him, that's going to be monumental, especially at LR status. You're going to want to run this Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. He is going to be incredible for this game type, and I feel like if you don't run him, you're missing out on something that's free and can be very easy to put on your team and slap on there. But that's probably common knowledge. So we've got 2 of them down. 3 of them down if you count this Gohan, and 4 if you count Vegeta. So that's 4 of your 6 you can bring. Now we need to figure out what's left, and I want to bring a hard hitter in this case. I want to bring the hardest hitter you can have, and now it comes down to who's going to provide more damage. I don't know if this Gogeta is going to be your best bet. And I know that sounds crazy because Super Gogeta is one of the best units. He's got one of the best passives in the game. The problem is that passive is not suitable for this game type. This game type, you're only facing units you're super effective against. So Gogeta's super effective against all types is kind of moot. Everyone is super effective against this unit. Now, if you've got him at 100%, he does provide a lot of damage because of the way his stats work. He gets that 7,000 attack up, which is monumental. The problem is, he gets a flat boost on his passive. I think it's either 3,500 or 7,000. I think it's 7,000. And that, I don't know, is as good as this Trunks' 100% up. And I'm not trying to build the perfect team, like, specifically. You know, I'm not trying to say this is what you need to run, but I'm kind of giving you ideas. If you have multiple copies of this Trunks, you have him at SA10, which I recommend you doing if you're running Super Strength, he is going to probably out-damage Gogeta only in this game type. And I say that knowing I'm probably going to get some hate. Gogeta's flat passive does not lend itself well. Now, his stat boost and his immense modifier and his 12 key modifier really help boost his overall damage, but Trunks' 100% up might actually help him more in this game type, because Gogeta can't afford to have a lower number when he attacks. Now, if you've got a Rainbow, bring him. I think he will probably hit harder than just about anybody other than Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, or Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Ultimate Gohan. But if you don't, or if you've only got one copy, maybe two, consider bringing the Trunks if you've got more of him. But either way, you're going to bring them. I think this Goku does really well. If you watch the Gaming Claws video, he shows him off pretty well. He links good enough with the Vegeta that it makes a good enough partnership to warrant bringing him. The Trunks I would also recommend. The Trunks or the Krillin. It can work either way. The Trunks does what he does a little bit better because I think he stacks his own defense every time. But the Krillin is free and you can rainbow him for free, and so he's not a bad replacement. In fact, his mitigation is actually a little bit better. So I highly recommend one of the two. As for a support, Kaba gives more defensive value. He does provide a higher defensive stat. The problem is, Great Ape Super Saiyan 3 Goku links well enough with Super Saiyan 4 Goku that it almost kind of matters, but that attack just gets insane. And he provides it to everyone. So does Kaba. Kaba's stats are lower, which also hurts him, and he's harder to get than the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So if you've got Kaba, you've got him really good in the dupe system, you've got multiple copies. He has a farmable super attack, so that works well for him. I think Super Saiyan 3 Goku only has a semi-farmable, but it's a toss-up between those two. Whichever you've got more of and you've got more invested, I would bring that one. And this comes down to you're going to have investments in these units. You cannot bring an uninvested unit. You will lose. And I know that sounds terrible because it's not free-to-play. This game type is not built around us free-to-play players. It is built around those who are paying a lot. But real quick, before we finish up this video, I want to show the big difference, and it's something that I think is overlooked, is that Global actually kind of has a better option. And I know the memes are going to come back of optimal Super Pycon, but truth be told, he might be optimal on a Super Battle Road team. He gets 100% up on his passive with supreme damage, and he lowers attack. And while typically that has been laughed at, farmable super attack, put in a GSSR summon where people have likely got multiple if they did it on there. Now, if you don't have him, I'm sorry, this is not speaking to you, but if you've got him, lowering attack on Super Battle Road is one of the best things you can do. They just hit that hard. It's insane. If you've not seen it, I'm going to link a few. I'm going to link D-Free's video. I'm going to link Gaming Claws. But they just hit monumental. So having him lower attack, especially of the hardest hitter in the rotation, that's going to be insane. LR Vegito Blue, we've talked about, he's probably going to have over in a flash. I mean, he's linking well with your Super Saiyan 4, or Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. He might have either shocking speed or prepared for battle. He's going to link well with Goku. This whole team, I think, looks better on Global just because Pycon fills that role that Super Strength needs. He's not a tank or a wall, but he's a debuffer that also hits hard, and that's just something that you need more of on this. But I hope this video helped you figure out a little bit. I hope it also showed how tricky these waters are, how unlikely you are to succeed in this game type. You've got a few more options than you would think, but you don't have a ton of options. So the big things I want you to take away away from this are, one, have a good team. 2, if they're free, put orbs into them. 3, have fun. This is supposed to be a fun game type, and I know it's frustrating when you can't beat it, but part of the fun is knowing that you can't beat it, knowing it's incredibly hard. It's not like Boss Rush, where it's a monotonous grind where it doesn't matter. This one is almost impossible, even with some of the newest additions to the meta. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this game type, actually. I'm very excited for it. I love it. I hope you all love it. But like we always say here on the channel, guys, I hope to see you around sometime.